when I started out the year, I said, I'd like to close, probably like 2 deals a month, right? I was like,
Okay.
if I could close 2 deals a month, with my other obligations, my other businesses, I'm like, I'd be doing pretty good. It'd be
Sure.
a nice, because I'm in this for the long haul,
Yeah.
So, and I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna blow that away. I think I've got about 9 or 10 deals pending right now. I've already closed, I think 4, I think this month.
Wow.
So yeah, it's
So
you know,
congratulations.
yeah. So it's really I think I'm gonna have to revisit my goal that I set, kind of going into the year, because I think it's too attainable.
That's a good problem to have. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words, hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Entrepreneurs in Finance. My name is Kris Roglieri, CEO of Commercial Capital Training Group, and this is where we explore the daily lives of graduates in our training, lenders, and everybody else in between, even employees at that. So before I begin, I just want to make sure everybody subscribes to our YouTube channel to catch the latest episodes on what's going on here and interesting things that we're doing and more interviews like this. So this episode, I am very intrigued to interview Jim Wellington of Level Up Capital. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Kris, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking.
All right. Well, this is an interesting and cool one for me. They're always interesting, but I always enjoy getting to talk personally with graduates who attended virtual trainings. Right.
Yeah.
You weren't here in person, so it's good for me to kind of peel back the layers and kind of get an idea of who you are, et cetera. So I, again, appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for the invitation.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. So Jim, tell me about, I understand you attended in April of 2021. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct.
You did purchase the gold package. But before we get into kind of your experience having been out now for a little bit, tell me about what you did prior to attending CCTG and what ultimately led you to CCTG.
Yeah, so my background and my experiences is I've been a real estate investor for quite a long time. I've been an active real estate agent with a specific focus on being an investor. That's always been kind of something that I've enjoyed and been very passionate about. But I've also, always been very passionate about numbers and math and finance, and certainly when you're a real estate investor, financing is a big part of the equation
Sure.
that can really help you, grow your business. And, leverage is something that's very critical for real estate investors. So when you combine those things, that's kind of what led me to, I want to learn more about this and learn different avenues that will not only help me grow my business, but I also like helping other people grow their business because having been able to generate passive income in my life has made a very positive effect on my personal life. And that's something that I also want to help other people with.
Sure. Okay. All right. So how did you find CCTG? Like, do you remember even how it came up?
Yeah, I was actually sitting on the couch, just kind of like Googling, and I'm real big into internet searches and learning, and I'd always been interested in like finding ways to become a lender, but I didn't want to be an employee. I like being, I want to be a business owner. I want to be, self-employed, and I think I found it on maybe like one of those buy a biz websites or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
And I clicked on it and I said, huh, this is kind of what I've been searching for a while. And, I started, researching the website and made some contacts and stuff like that and
Yeah.
watched some of the YouTube videos. And I said, man, this sounds like exactly what I've kind of been searching for a little while.
Yeah.
Um,
What's interesting is, um, people stumble upon us by mistake. So it doesn't surprise me, but it turns out you were kind of searching for something like this.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely.
um, well, all right. So you got on our website, you obviously spoke to people and our head of enrollment, Mike Geisler. And so when you decided to take the plunge, obviously you attended before we resorted back to a live class, and now we have a hybrid model. But tell me about that virtual training. I mean, how was it? Was it what you expected? Was it, more than you expected, less than expected? I mean, sitting in front of a computer for all day, every day?
Yeah, so yeah, I can definitely speak to that. The training was great. And I think I told you that when we were in class back then. I did really enjoy it. Your team and yourself do a very good job of presenting the information.
Thank you.
Um, you know, I would prefer to have been in person.
Sure.
That's kind of my style. I prefer to sit across the table from somebody and communicate. But given the circumstances that we were in, I still think you guys did a very good job of keeping it interactive and keeping us interested. I know I was interested from the time we started, from day
Yep.
one.
Right.
And you did a great job of keeping us engaged.
Well, I mean, you did invest a lot of money. So, I mean, one would hope that you'd be, you'd want to get the most out of your investment and stay in front of that computer for, 8 hours a day. But,
Yeah.
so that, so that good. Yeah. I know sometimes it's a challenge where, you know, you don't feel like you're part of the group, but we try to emulate that as best possible with cameras and, you
Yeah.
know, so, but good. I'm glad you enjoyed that aspect of it. Tell me about that first week. Now let's fast forward. You're done with the training, and and
Yeah.
and what was that first week like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, completed training and, kind of got all my, marketing materials from the finance marketing group that does all that stuff and the website and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And from there, once I got all that stuff, all that information, I just started, like I said, I've been in real estate for a long time and I've been an investor. So I just started reaching out to some of my sphere of influence, right? That's kind of where I went to first and said, hey, this is something I'm doing now. This is a new business that I started. And because I've already been involved in that arena, it was like, oh, and I find myself having to explain what an asset-based lender does for real estate transactions. I don't think a lot of people knew what that was. But
Mhm.
initially I just kind of reached out to my sphere of influence. I know a lot of investors, I know a lot of real estate agents, and that's why I focus specifically. The only deals arena that I've worked in up to this point is real estate, because that's what I know and that's what I'm comfortable with, and that's also what I'm passionate about. So
Right.
I reached out to those folks, networked, and attended a lot of investor meetings. In your geographic area, there's every area has real estate investment meetings. I attend some of those in the evening. Join Facebook groups. There's tons of Facebook groups. Use the website and all those things to have conversations with people online, and that's really what I use to get going and get started.
Wow. So, okay. Yeah, and we kind of talked about that in class, a little bit about how to go out and, obviously network with your spheres of influence. Um, tell me about your first deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So my first deal was a referral from a traditional mortgage rep that I've known for a long time, and he said, "Hey, I know you told me about what you do. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but he's like, but I've got this client who's been a client of mine for a long time, and they've now got a 4-unit apartment complex that they're looking to purchase, and because 2 of the members of the corporation are self-employed, I can't get them approved." I can't get them a loan. He's like, do you have something that can work for them? I
right.
said, yeah, absolutely. I said, we're not going to ask for the tax returns and pay stubs and W-2s. We're going to look at credit worthiness and the asset itself. And does the debt service coverage ratio score make sense? Is this a good investment for them and for the lender? So we
Sure.
absolutely have something for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So that was your first transaction. What was the dollar amount of that? You
Yeah, so
remember?
the purchase price on that was about 350,000,
Yeah.
and so they put I believe they did 20% down, so it's about 270,000.
Cool. Okay. And you mind stating what you made on that? What'd you take home?
I made on that one. I charged 1 point,
Yeah.
so it was like 2,800 bucks.
Okay. All right. But still, you got one in. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, it all counts. And that was your first one. Did you feel like a sigh of relief? Like almost like, because everybody's goal when they leave is close that first transaction. It doesn't matter if it's a small deal, big deal, real estate, business loan, but did you have a little sense of accomplishment and relief when that first one went through the door?
It was a great feeling, man. It really was. Because I mean, I knew I would do it. I knew it wasn't a matter of if I could do it; it was just a matter of when.
When? Right. Right.
But when you're relying, because I did the goal package and initially I was relying on my sphere of influence,
Sure.
you start telling everybody that you're doing this, but they're like, well, I want to see it. I want to see,
Right, right,
I
right.
want to see you close a deal. So, being able to do that and that feeling of also, accomplishment, and then also knowing that I generally helped this group, I helped their business, because they were at a standstill where they're like, we don't know what to do or where to go anymore. We can't
And
get any more funding.
and isn't that such a great feeling?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Um, so obviously what was now let's kind of you close your first deal and now you're kind of off to the races for 2020, the rest of 2021. Talk to me about the rest of 2021. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
So, yep, in 2021, that same group, I ended up doing a follow-up deal on a 6-unit portfolio purchase. So they got kind of a taste of what we can do, and they said, "Hey, we're off to the races now." So we
and
did a
just to stop you real quick, that's an important thing, right? Because I tell people all the time, this is not a one and done type business with a client. I mean, once you come through with a client,
oh,
it's a client for life, as long as you did a good job, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that statement more because, they very quickly were like, "Hey, we've also got this 6-unit portfolio that we've been looking to purchase, and we've got
Yep.
other deals that we want to do because we have people that want to sell to us that are looking to exit, the rental arena." So the next one with them was a 6-unit portfolio purchase. That one, the purchase price was 540,000 was the purchase price. And I think I charged a point and a half on that one, so a little bit bigger commission there. I also did a fix and flip loan with another borrower on a property in Lake Orion, Michigan.
Mhm.
Um, where the purchase price on that one, I believe, was 150 and roughly about a $50,000 rehab budget on that one.
Okay.
And that was another great deal because she was a real estate agent who wanted to get into investing. And she never bought a fix and flip property, had never bought an investment property. And she's like, I don't know, like, how do I go about doing this? Like, where am I going to get the money? You know?
Kind of the first
And
time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Great.
first time through, and said, "Hey, we can do this. We can make this work for you."
Yeah.
And she had found a great deal on a property. She's like, "Okay, what do I do now?" I'm like, "Well, got to get you financing, you know."
Right, right. Um, so Jim, tell me about, you mentioned you're a real estate investor prior to attending CCTG. And, I imagine you're currently a real estate investor. Tell me about what value that brings to the table when talking with real estate investors, because it's like you're one of them. You can identify what they're going through, but now that you know the financing part, which to me is the most important part in real estate investing, you bring that whole power and dynamic to your clients. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, it's a huge advantage because I know the trials and tribulations that they've been through,
Mhm.
whether it's if they're buying a rental property or they're rehabbing a property. I've done it. I've been there. So I understand, the challenges that they face, whether it's dealing with tenants or, dealing with collecting rent or even currently with the COVID situations where in some places in the country they didn't have to pay rent.
Right,
Um,
right.
I understand all that. I know all that. I know how to analyze a deal, whether it's a rental property or it's something that somebody's buying as a fix and flip. I also
Mhm.
know how to look at properties, and just by walking through, I can give you a pretty darn good idea what it's going to cost you to rehab it. So if it's somebody
Wow.
in my local area that needs a hand, I can walk in and be like, "Look, I know what it costs to do this because I've done it, and I've done a lot of them." So it helps out a lot.
For people that don't know you, do you make sure that you say that to them at some point in the conversation? Like, so they kind of identify with you a little more?
Absolutely. It's a great way for them to kind of put yourself on the same level so that they feel a commonality, a common ground with you. And it helps you build that rapport and also, hey, look, I understand where you're coming from because I've been through similar situations.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'd imagine you use that to your benefit, and that only can help you. Um, what's your current what's your largest deal that you're working on? You've only been
Yeah,
at
so
it
my
6 months, 6, 7 months. So
Yeah, so my largest deal is currently it looks like we're going to close it out in a couple weeks here. Is I have an 8 property portfolio refinance that I'm doing for a client who has 8 rental properties that we're going to pull some more cash out, refinance into a new loan. And the idea behind it is he's going to be able to pull out a significant chunk of cash so that he can continue to grow his rental portfolio.
Awesome.
And that one we're expected to close in the next couple weeks.
How big is that roughly?
That one will be almost $1 million.
$1 million. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
So
That's got to feel good. Congratulations.
yeah, that'll be my biggest one thus far. So most of the deals I've done, are kind of in the smaller dollar amount. Being in Metro Detroit, which is where the vast majority of my deals have come from. We don't have the real high dollar amount deals like say California.
Yeah, right, right. Just that the values are lower. And I heard through the grapevine that I think you're going to be in the next issue of Deal Maker.
Yeah, I am. I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about that. So
here we go.
oh, nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to getting a copy of that.
Yeah, no, congratulations. That's a good thing. You believe it or not, I'll tell you this. When and those of you that don't know, we have I'll do a little self promotion, but Dealmaker Magazine is a publication that I started through the association I own, and it's a cool publication that highlights lenders and brokers, and it's really one of the industry's only trade publications for our industry. And if you made it into Dealmaker, that means you're doing good things. So congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
I will tell you that you will get deals from this. Believe it or not, you're going to get a lot of action because when you're in here, this goes out to probably 15,000 people or so.
Nice.
Maybe up to 20,000, both physically and digitally. But you're going to get play. You're going to get lenders calling you for business. And you may get other brokers say, hey, man, I got this deal. Want to co-broker it? So, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I welcome all of those.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, what's your plans for 2022? We have kind of goals and aspirations.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I do. When I started out the year, I think I set my goal a little bit too low, to be honest with you. But when I started out the year, I said, I'd like to close, probably like 2 deals a month, right? I was like, if I could close 2 deals a month, with my other obligations, my other businesses, I'm like, I'd be doing pretty good. It'd be a nice, because I'm in this for the long haul, So, and I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna blow that away. I think I've got about 9 or 10 deals pending right now. I've already closed, I think 4, this month. Wow. So yeah, it's yeah, so it's really I think I'm gonna have to revisit my goal that I set, kind of going into the year, because I think it's too attainable.
That's a good problem to have.
Right, right.
Awesome. Have you brought anybody onto your model, or is it just you still?
It's just me still. I'm just running it myself.
Okay.
And I definitely look at expanding in the future.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm a workhorse, I'll be honest with you. I love to work. I love what I'm doing. So right now everything's working good the way it is.
And do you work from home or you have an office?
I have an office already because my real estate business. So it's
okay.
Nice. It kind of fits right in there.
Sure. And how's I assume you have a family?
I have a wife.
Yep.
And we have a bunch of animals.
A bunch of animals. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure the animals don't mind, but what about your wife? What does she think about this? What did she think prior to you getting here? Was she like, I don't know, you're going to get scammed, or was she totally supportive? And my second question is, how does she feel now? So tell me about how she initially felt.
Yeah. So like a lot of things I've done over the course of our marriage and time before then, she always looks at it like, what, and I'm like, trust me, it'll work. She's like, it sounds like another scam, and I'm like, no, it's not. And so she always looks at it a little more, she always scrutinizes things a little bit differently than I do. Yeah. She's a little bit more less of a risk taker and than I am. So I said, no, I've done a lot of research, I've talked to a lot of people. I talked to, Mike and Mike Geisler, and I had asked him for some contact informations of people that people had gone through the program, and I reached out to several of them and had nice long conversations with them. And I said, no, this is legit. And she'll say that, but she's very supportive. She's very supportive. But she won't, she definitely lets it know that, like, I think it's her kind of like her disclaimer in case something goes wrong. Like, then she can always go back and say, well, I told you so.
Yeah, but now in the position you're in, do you occasionally walk past her and say, "Told you so"?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And now she sees, and she's like, when I come home and we talk and things like that, she's like, how was your day and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, got another deal in the works, closing another one. And now she's like, huh, all
Okay.
right. So,
All right.
and
That's awesome.
of course, I very humbly told her that about being in Dealmaker magazine and being on the show today, and she's like, wow. She's like, I guess it's really going well. And I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. Sometimes it's the hardest hurdle to get over to convince your partner that you're doing the right thing, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, um, that's awesome. So let me ask you a couple of just to get to know you a little bit better here, even for myself. If you weren't, let's say, if you weren't in real estate investing and you weren't in finance like you are now, what do you think you'd be doing? Like if you could have like a dream job and just get placed anywhere and start doing it without any experience or training, what would you be doing? What would you?
I'd have to say, Chris, that's an easy question and a hard question for me,
Mhm.
because there's not, other than being a professional baseball player from the time I was young, this is what I wanted to do, you
Awesome.
know?
Okay.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah, I've always envisioned myself from even being a young teenager. I'm like, I'm going to be involved in real estate. And I loved math and I loved numbers.
You're living
Um,
it. You're living your
yeah,
dream.
yeah, math was always my strongest, class
Yeah.
and thing that I enjoyed the most. So yeah, I'm living my dream. I guess the only thing I would say differently is maybe bigger deals and things like that. But I'm
Okay.
doing what I set out to do. So
Okay. That's a great answer. That's a really great answer. Being that now you're living your dream right now, right? But
right.
what's one thing that you don't like about this business?
Yeah. Well,
The
that's
local
easy.
brokerage business.
Yeah, that's easy. They serve a necessary purpose, but underwriters, appraisers, those guys can be they can
Very
really throw some
stressful.
wrenches into some deals.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I've got a couple of those going right now where appraisals came back low, or an underwriter wants something, a little, on our end, we think, well, that's kind of unnecessary, but it's part of the deal. But if I could get rid of one part of it, it'd probably be those type of situations.
Probably that. Yeah. Yeah. Just abolish all underwriters and
Yeah.
appraisers. Just
Yeah. I'm not sure how good that would be, but I mean, it would help me,
it'd
right?
help you for sure.
Right.
It'd help you. Um, Tell me a little bit about you. What do you like to do for fun? Like outside of real estate investing and finance? I mean, are you into anything?
Oh
What's
yeah.
and that's a follow up. The follow up question to that is, tell me something interesting that I normally wouldn't realize about you.
Yeah.
Despite
So that's kind of a outside of work, we live on a lake over here in St. Clair Shores, and in the summer and when it's warm out, when it's not 7 degrees like it is today, and the ice isn't frozen, we like to be out on our boat and hanging out in our backyard with our neighbors and our friends, and
cool.
we've got a pool, and we like to go out on the lake and cruise around and do all that kind of stuff. So if you didn't know me, that's also something that you wouldn't know about me. Is that's what I love to do. And in the summer, that's pretty much what we're doing as much as we can.
It's Michigan life, right?
Yeah, that's it. I call it trying to live the lake life. That's what
Lake
I call
life. Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Um, Last question. What, if you could sit down and talk with somebody, either living present day or had passed on in any point in history, who would it be?
Yeah. So that's an interesting question too, because I think one of the people that I would definitely love to have sat down and met with is this might sound kind of quirky, but Ronald Reagan.
Hmm.
Um, And the reason being is I just loved his economic policies. I'm a big believer in, I came from humble means. And I'm a big believer in, you get out of life what you put into it.
Sure.
And, having lower taxes and those type of things give you the opportunity to climb the ladder and to build, like a successful business and a good life.
And a good life.
Um,
And also distribute, and that, and some would say that gets distributed in its own ways to other people through job creation and everything else. But
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the other one would be, as I mentioned before, I'm a big baseball fan. So um, I'd love to sit down with Kirk Gibson, former Detroit Tiger. Very talented athlete. But more importantly, the thing that I admired most about him is when he was on the field, he always gave 110%. He was the guy that
yeah,
if he was the guy that if you were the catcher and you were standing on the plate, he was going to run you over, and it didn't matter. And that's just something that I try to do in my life. I try to emulate in my life is if I do something, I give it 110%.
110%, right.
And that's just something I always respected and appreciated about him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, listen, Jim, I really appreciate it. It was my pleasure in interviewing you. Again, it's always good to kind of peel the peel the layers away into people that I haven't formally met here in person. So I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of discuss what life is like.
Yeah.
Post
I,
train.
yeah, no, I just want to say, I sincerely appreciate you guys inviting me on here today. And, I'm very thankful that I came across your program. You guys do a very nice job of teaching the program and teaching the class. But I'd like to say as a follow up to that, everything that I was told when I was kind of thinking about, coming to class kind of came to fruition. And even, after the fact, like I can call Mac anytime and he always answers. He's always there to help me, and I just think that just speaks volumes about the company and the things that you guys put out there that you guys promise you'll do. They've come through. So
I appreciate, and you know what? I'll ask, that just spawns another question. What would you say to people that are thinking about possibly taking this, in terms of what it takes to be successful?
yeah, so you got to get out there.
Mhm.
This you got to get out there. You've got to generate that circle, and you got to talk to people because that's how you're going to get that's how you're going to get deals.
Yeah.
And I'm on the real estate side, so I focus on those things.
Right.
But you got to get out there and you got to talk to people. You got to go to the real estate investor meetings if you want to be in this category. You gotta get on Facebook and get into a lot of the groups out there, Bigger Pockets and all of those. You got to get in those groups. You got to talk to real estate agents. You got to talk to mortgage people. You got to talk to investors. You got to talk to those people, and you got to get out there. And I mean, this is very much a, you got to go get it type position.
Sure.
Deals aren't just going to fall into your lap. You got to go out there and make connections. You got to talk to a lot of people. I didn't do a ton of deals to close out 2021, but I talked to a lot of people. And a lot of those deals, because the cycle of real estate takes time, right?
Sure.
A lot of those deals are coming to fruition now. And that's why I've got a nice pipeline built up. And I'm looking forward to big things in 2022.
Awesome.
So,
Well, and we talk about that in class, right? You remember when I sat there and I said, look, it's like gardening. Do you want to
right,
be a hobby gardener, or do you want to be an industrial farm?
right.
And it takes more work to build the industrial farm. You got to plant a lot more seeds. But at the end of the day, the more you plant, the more it comes to harvest. And, it looks like you're experiencing that now for kind of the hard work you put in the first 6 months.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Actually, you know what? I forgot, but is there any one question that you're burning to ask me? And it could be anything. It could be anything. It could be what type of hair gel I use, all the way to, it could be anything, honestly.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. One of the things that's really intrigued me is I look into the future and maybe some things that I want to get into is I know one of your arms is Prime Lending,
Mhm.
and one of your companies, and just like kind of how you went about starting that, and what you did and how you did it. I know that's a long question. It's a big question. It's probably not something you can answer in a couple minutes, but
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by that.
Yeah. I mean, it is a long question, but basically, If you're asking, like, how did I become a direct lender, or is it more about how just Prime started in general?
Yeah, how do you become a direct lender like that?
Direct
How do
lender.
you go about, I mean, you're now able to fund deals that are, large deals,
Mhm.
and you guys can do that. And that's something that to me is very interesting.
You got to take baby steps. I mean, you just can't one day say, "Hey, I'm a direct lender." I think number one, it comes down to showing a track record and knowing what you're doing as a broker. And then essentially what I did is, I went to, in the beginning days, a couple of investors, right? To, lend some capital, because I originally started doing business loans, short-term business loans originally. And then that morphed into commercial real estate financing. But, it's all about track record. So you take a little bit and prove that, you know what you're doing, and you can get a rate of return for somebody using somebody else's money, and that and convincing that person that their money's safe, meaning you're not going to make bad decisions, right?
Right.
There's always loss ratio in lending, but the thing is to keep it very small, and then you leverage that more. So then you go and you get a little more money and say, look, here's what I did with this amount. Now I'm looking for this amount. And you kind of just build on that, um, to the point where, there's, you can start dealing with family offices where you get into larger transactions and demonstrate trust, that you know what you're doing based on your model. So it, I know that's an easy answer, and it's easier said than done, but it's getting somebody to believe in you in that first step, right? But you have to have the process down. Like, you have to have, when you become a direct lender, a lot of people don't realize, but it's a game changer, because you got to live with your decisions. Whereas a broker, if a deal goes bad that you sent to a lender a year ago, not that big of a deal, right? You're not dealing with
Right.
it. You're not collecting and all that other stuff. But you have to start small, show you have a good system, and once that system is in place, to kind of prove that system with a little bit of money, and then you just build upon there. It's all about trust. And then you could eventually, there's a lot of options then that open up to you. Whether it's going to a bank and getting a bank line to re-lend out. Just there's several options when you get to a point of needing capital, but in order to lend out. But I think it starts with the core. You got to know what you're doing. Got to have the processes in place. Which, I know you've only been at this game for 7-8 months, but you're already doing it. I mean, you're already doing it. If that's indeed your goal, you're already kind of on the path there. Meaning, getting some deals under your, getting some consistent deal flow as a broker, and one of the things that you can do is, let's say you start doing this for 2-3 years as a broker, you can go back to justify, improve yourself. You can go back to your lenders that you sent those deals to and say, look, I'm looking to become a direct lender. Can you give me a performance sheet on how those deals perform? Right.
Okay.
And say, look, and so then the lender comes back and says, okay, yeah, you sent us 40 deals, and out of the 40, all are performing. Or they may say only, maybe 38 are performing and 2 went bad, which is still good, but that gives you credibility now that you can take to an investor or a family office or a bank and say, look, here's my model. Here's what I've been doing. Now I want to become I want to become a direct lender. Here's my performance. That makes
Okay.
sense. And
Absolutely.
you could leverage that. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's great. That's great information.
Good. 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 Yeah. Well, someday you'll get there. You just gotta stay the course, which I have confidence in you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, we talked about a lot, Jim. Again, I appreciate it. From Level Up Capital, I wish you much success in 2022. It sounds like you're doing good things, and um, I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So that wraps it up for this episode with Entrepreneurs in Finance. Be sure again to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see future episodes. We're doing about 2 or 3 people a month at this point, and so much more valuable content to come. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words: hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business.